Okay, one of these days I'm gonna remember that this microphone doesn't work unless I turn it on. So, but here's what you know: all the stuff that I said when you weren't listening, man, that stuff was golden. I probably can't recreate it, never will. Just know that every once in a while you're gonna catch some gold when I actually have my mic on. Um, I don't think I can recapture that thunder though, man. It was just actually I was probably I don't know. What was I doing? I was complaining about COVID, having a brain fog. Not really having a brain fog, but having a brain fog. Not really having the COVID, I guess is what I should say. So much is just that brain fog. A little bit of congestion, some sore muscles yesterday. But that's it. And then I don't know. We'll see how my brain is. It foggy? Is it not? Is it always this like this? Because I've only done podcasts so far with my brain foggy or with COVID. So as I get better, it doesn't look like I'm making a trip to the ventilator. As I get better, we'll see how it you'll be able to be judge. You'll be like, you know, you're an idiot, Kyle. You're always an idiot. You don't just have brain fog. You always have brain fog. I kind of dance around the subject a lot. I jump around. As a matter of fact, I'm running out of shit to say, to be honest. What the hell can I even say anymore? Here's what it is. We're at a point now where there's very little that I have of interest to anybody that won't piss somebody off. And it's been so fun appealing to this broad base of people. But I don't know how long I can sustain that. Because I don't. I'm stupid. I just can't. Well, am I stupid? No. Yeah. Yeah, aren't we all? Uh, oh man. So I think well, I'll probably end up talking about how I feel about some things. I don't see everything the same as everybody. So I just keep coming to that, that I'm I don't follow in the line. I weave a woven chorus. I don't get directly there. You've probably noticed that just in my speech. But I don't like to follow along, blindly. I like to feel like I'm, intelligent of some sort, and that I take in information, weigh it, make a decision, plot forward. But that's probably not how I do it. It's probably more feeling based. But either way, when I start feeling like I'm going the same way as too many people, I really start to guess that, right? So um, that ends up having. See, like most people think, for just a stupid example, most people think that if your best friend's fiance is coming on, okay, now imagine you're single. As a single man, most people think that if your best friend's fiance is coming on to you, you should not sleep with her. However, I don't see it that way. I've seen this one in my chair too many times. It actually comes back in. Somebody's getting tattooed. We're covering up a name. I say the same thing every time. I don't really mean it, but I'm like, so why are we covering up this fucking whore's name? Or why are we covering up this asshole's name? Either way, it's just a fun. It helps pass the time. I like to get the story because sometimes hilarity ensues, or you sometimes you might come away with a different frame of mind, a different thought, and that's so. I'm tattooing a guy, and I'm covering up his ex and his friends in there with him, and I'm like, so why are we covering up this whore? And well, fuck, that's exactly it, Kyle. She's a whore. I was like, ah, shit. Your friends couldn't warn you. No, actually, I tried. That's his friend in the corner. I tried, man. I tried. I told him she tried to suck my dick at a party, after they were together. But he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. And we didn't talk to each other for 2.5 years. What? Yeah, yeah. Until, he caught her fucking around. They had already had kids on. You see, I began thinking, but if that guy had actually screwed her, wouldn't his conversation go? I mean, sure, he's not going to be your friend for 6 months, but in this case, he wasn't your friend for years. And he still made a terrible decision. He had kids with this woman. That was in the rest of his life. But if you, fucked her and be like, no, dude, I know the things that she says while she's doing, I know how she moves, and He's going to be mad for 6 months, but he's going to realize you helped save him. As soon as he sees her cheating on the next guy that she's with, and she will, she was a cheating whore. So as soon as then he's going to feel better. He's like, you saved me. That's what your obligation, of course, at that point would just be to let him know right away, like, hey, heads up, that bitch is a cheating whore, and I screwed her last night. The sooner you might even send her a text while it's going on. I don't know, maybe not. And you're going to want to be a safe distance away, because he's going to be angry. But how else were you going to save him from making that mistake? Because she's much better at convincing him than you. Here's what I imagine went on. His buddy said, hey, your girl tried to suck my dick last night. He's like, what? Oh, my God, we've been friends since kindergarten. Of course I trust you. I'm going to go tell this. We're done. And then he started talking to her. And she was like, oh, honey, but you know how I only like the taste of your dick. Let me show you. Ha! And he's like, man, I can't. In the middle of that head job, he begins thinking, well, I can't believe this guy's such an asshole to me. We've been friends since we were kindergarten. Now he's trying to screw up my relationship. I don't need him in my life. I guess I'm just learning. Yeah. Well, so I don't see things the same as everybody else. I do, however, have a bit of advice on relationships, and I think it's valid. It's helped me. It saved mine at one point. I came to a realization. Did I come to it? A lot of smarter people than me research this shit, and they come up with ways to stay together with. And I've been together with my wife for some time, and even after the Ink Master, I shouldn't say like, oh wow, even surprised. But I could have got laid. I've never been pretty a day in my life, but Ink Master dolled me up and put me on stage there for a little bit, and a lot of these soccer moms thought that was hot. It seems to me that's what you got to sell it to. Like, I mean, where were these girls when I was in high school? That's what I know. All these coming out of the woodworks, they were nowhere. That's why, number one, the best advice, I guess, for a good relationship is to get with somebody that's pretty fucking cool. If you get with an asshole or a bitch, you probably ain't gonna do so good. So number one, there. However, from there to keep it together, what you have to maybe know is that what keeps people in a relationship. Actually, you have to know that. Not just maybe what you have to know what keeps people in a relationship. And women stay in a relationship when they feel appreciated, and men stay in a relationship when they feel strong. It's kind of both appreciation. Men feel the appreciation of being so. We kind of need to feel strong. If as a man you are ever not feeling strong in your relationship, as strong as you have felt before, you look through there. I bet you've been appreciating her a little less. Guaranteed. Right? Well, maybe not, but I say yeah. And I'm never wrong. Sometimes that's why I say don't get a name tattooed on you. If a man has his name on you, he is going to appreciate you less. And it begins eroding the relationship. If you want to stay with your wife, your significant other, you have to make her feel appreciated. You can't yell at her in front of her friends, family, coworkers, or friends, because that's going to fuck you right up. You ain't going to do it. You can't do it. And if you're a woman, you want to stay with a guy, you got to make him feel strong. That's pretty easy, though. We're kind of dumber. We're easier to fool, too. You can just phone it in. But, of course, women... They can't phone it in. That's the nice thing about a woman cannot phone in making you feel strong unless she's a devious cunt and she's just taking your money or she's screwing you over some large way. But when at any one point in time you're emotionally invested in the relationship, a woman's going to have a real hard time making you feel strong if she's not feeling appreciated. They're too honest like that. Sure, they might not be able to tell you, it might be a lot of silent treatment, but you haven't appreciated her in some way. Send her some flowers at work. I don't know why women are weird, right? They like things that aren't functional. Like they want you to think. See, that's why flowers at work work, because they show that you're appreciating her. You took time out of your day to take money, expensive. You know how much it costs to have somebody show up at work with fucking flowers? And now all the bitches in that office are all like, oh, fucking Karen thinks somebody loves her fucking cunt. and they love that shit. Now all these people think they appreciate it. Now same conversely, yell at her in front of those same people. Oh, I knew that Karen wasn't really low. He just sent her that because he yelled at her. You follow? So that's all I got really. Is that see everything from here on out? I feel like we're gonna start to step on toes. We're gonna start to piss people off, and they're gonna be a little bit angrier. Like I'd be better probably, and I do want to. I need to figure out some of the technology. Like I need to figure out a way to have people onto this podcast and not have it sound like a robot inside of a vacuum, because that's what it's been so far. The products that I've tried to use so far have sounded pretty terrible, and I've got a lot of interesting people. Like my life is surrounded by interesting people. That's the best thing about my life is how interesting the people in my life are. Tattooing, it can attract some of the worst of us, and it also attracts the most interesting of us, which are oftentimes the same, I suppose. So I would like to have that. I would like to have my friends on here. I would like to have people that have influenced me throughout tattooing, and I'd just like to every once in a while. I live in Flint, Michigan, which I laugh every time I say it because I'm still like, why the fuck am I here? But I live in Flint, Michigan, and there's Flint stars out here, like people that are just freaking amazing. One time I go up here to the Speedway. I'm buying the most Flint shit ever. Flint's where we got the bad water. I don't know if you remember it in the news. It's always in the news for something bad. Either GM's leaving, we're having a young school shooting. We had one of the first. I don't know if we should be so proud of it. A 6-year-old was shot by a 5-year-old back in the day, and pin a rose on our nose. Now we're special. Hey, look at Charlton Heston showed up. That was when I was a kid. When I was a young guy. Now we've moved on and we're poisoning people. We're like, bullets? That's so yesterday. Oh, we're ahead of the curve on killing. So we poisoned a bunch of people with lead here. And it's Flint. But so I'm going up to the Speedway after we got back from a little vacation. We travel all the time. I guess that's why I can stay in Flint. The living is so cheap, and I don't really live here, but half of the year is when I'm home. I spend a lot of time away. So we come home. I go to the Speedway. I'm getting rolling papers. It's legal here in Michigan, and it was legal first in Flint. Am I getting far enough off topic? Like we decriminalized it in the city of Flint before Michigan ever made it legal. Anyways, or recreational or even medicinal. I think we had started that. So like I'm saying, we're trendsetters. And be careful. If we're trendsetters, that means they're poisoning your water very soon. So I'm going to Flint. I'm getting a bottle of water and some rolling papers. But while I'm going there, it is Flint. If you're 1 in 19 chance of getting of being involved in a violent crime or being assaulted, I believe it is something like that. It's bad. And so I look across the street and I see 4 cruisers, 4 police cars, which is a relatively high number. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of cruisers. And then I look even deeper, and now I see the blue colored. So, like, that's Genesee County's come out. That's where Flint's inside of. That's the 4 cars you can actually see. And then Flint has, like, the stealth cars. So you can barely see them at nighttime. This is at nighttime, and there's, I don't know, I couldn't even count as many. And then I see all this activity of all these police officers walking around. One of them was getting a long rifle out of his trunk. Whoa. And now as I'm walking past these people at the Speedway, there's a crowd gathered there. Hey, excuse me, sir, what's going on over there? And I stop. Because that is interesting, It was a shootout. It got explained to me there's a shootout over there. It was explained to me that there's a shootout going over. There's a standoff now, I guess. But it was a shootout, and all these people have gathered around and are not, like, get the fuck, find cover. I guess they're just waiting, I don't know. So nobody got shot that night, but I paused because when this guy is telling me about it, I no longer care. It's because this guy is so damn unique. He's a Flint star to me. He's like, what the fuck? First off, part of his eye, or his eye is like missing. His head is like kind of caved in on that side. But this is an old injury, right? But here's the thing that got me. His glasses on that side are all bent like it's something that happened recent. Like, I don't know how they're staying on his head. I'm like just transfixed. Like, how are these glasses staying on your head? Because the one side is not over your ear, and yet your face is like your eye is disfigured. And I like put on. I don't know. It still pauses me. I don't know, but that's Flint. Things just don't work, and people accept it, and we move on. And we don't make changes to it. There's places here that they just flood all the time. You know. Oh, you can't go down Grand Traverse today? Oh, again. What, did it rain? Yeah, it's raining. Don't go down Grand Traverse. Um, don't go under. Excuse me. Don't go under Fenton Road. Grand Funk Railroad. Grand Trunk Railroad, if you will. But the locals here that remember Mark Farner and Grand Funk Railroad, and they started around here. Terry Crews is from Flint. Kyle Dunbar is from Flint. I don't have, I should, that Mark wrote me down some questions, topic questions, because he wanted me to talk about things that people are responding to online and all that. Excuse me, I keep burping. I don't know what's wrong with me. I've had too much coffee today. Usually I put chicory root in my coffee so I don't get too amped up, or I don't ride that roller coaster of amped, and then so I can keep it to a minimum. But I ran out of chicory root, and then to keep the coffee tasting the same, you got to add, regular amounts of coffee. So I still like the same volume of liquid to drink in the morning, but unfortunately now it's like double amped caffeine. It's like I'm geeked on it. So I don't know. I think that's why I'm burping all the time. So excuse me. People have asked, though, and Mark would like me to answer, what kind of tattoos do I like to do and why? I like to do black and gray tattoos. I think there's beautiful color tattoos, and I've seen some color tattoos last, but it's just been my experience. I don't like to inhibit people's lives too much with my tattoo. And once I tattoo color in on you, fucking stay out of the sun, you motherfucker. Like, you're gonna fuck it up. I have seen portraits as they age, color portraits and things like this, and they just don't age. Color doesn't age the same as black and gray, or as black. And so I like black and gray simply because it's going to last longer. I have a feeling, too, that it helps. Somebody told me, I don't know if this is true, but somebody told me we dream in black and gray, that we don't dream in color, which somebody else is going to tell me it's full of shit. I don't know. Here's what I know. When I remove a level of something, right, then it's not as real, but that kind of gives it a nicer or a more ethereal, a dreamlike state. That's what I feel. I mean, even if you're doing it with color, you're usually adding a filter, if you will. You don't see everybody's pores in the tattoo unless the tattoo has pores showing through underneath it. I guess I'm only talking about colored portraits in this case. But color itself, the sun lightens it just like a laser will. And as it lightens, it breaks it up. And as it gets broken up, your body absorbs it, and yellows and oranges disappears. And sometimes surprising colors disappear, and you're left with just undertones or just, and that's been a fight that I haven't wanted to figure that out. I guess there's probably a method to it, but it's a time-tested thing too. So ink, by the time you are able to test how long the ink is going to last in somebody's skin, you've been tattooing 7 to 10 years at least. You know what I mean? Or that's a 7 to 10 year old's tattoo. You might be able to tell what it looks like 3 to 5 years and start getting an idea of how it's going to fade. But 7 years is a long time in the history of your tattoo lifespan too, right? Well, you're going to tattoo 40 years at best or something like that. So that's just under a quarter. You following me? So your real experience with it, what I've found is black and gray. It's awesome. It lasts. It stays in the sun. And as I talk about the style of tattooing, I should also talk about the types of tattooing I like to do. I like to do all kinds of shit, really. I'm not a big fan of doing new school stuff. because the rules are too strict for me. I know understand why they're there. They're important, you know. But sometimes I, some people are going to look at me like rules of new school. That's not that hard. But for me, it is. You know, I like doing things that come out of me. Flower skulls, demons, angels. I like putting organic leaf work with realism, or I like to use that to shape the arm. I'd like a certain amount of geometric work, but usually just as a background to something, to a subject. When I see it, I'm enthralled by geometric work, but it's really boring for me to do. I love the outcome. Same with portraits. That's the way it was when I first started doing tattoos. That's what all I wanted to do was portraits, portraits, portraits. I really wanted to one day just do portraits. And although it's fun and it's cool, uh, it was like it was just cool when it was done. It was like I was just doing it for the pat on the back. Like, oh, that looks like a person. And it didn't feel like I didn't like it as much. Not for me as much. I do them, and like I said, whoever's going to get that Inigo Montoya, uh, or something similar, man. I love Pan's Labyrinth. I love Guillermo del Toro movies. I love a lot of cinematic movies, and I guess that's the difference. When you're doing a portrait, Olin Mills put everything together perfect to capture this life moment for a second, but they didn't want to capture drama. Nobody wants overly dramatic tattoo or portraits generally. They do that half face thing. They used to in the 70s. I don't know if they still do it. In the 80s, 70s, there was always that half face, and that's actually a cool idea, for tattooing. That works, but drama. So like if you're gonna do a Scarface, right when he's got a pile of fucking cocaine in front of him, uh, Brian De Palma made that scene very dramatic. So there's moments where the shadows are heavy and dark. You might not even see the whole side of his face, but that's what makes it kind of beautiful art. I like doing that kind of cinematic art better than I like doing people's family members nowadays, because it's I don't know, it's not as cool. It's not as cool. What I really like doing is looking at somebody's arm, taking a ballpoint pen, and starting to go with just drawing something abstract. Often it has teeth and a tongue, or maybe an eye. It's got one piece of color, so that I can take things into the background. Color can bring things forward, but it really should. It kind of sets things back. Rember explained that to me, and I've seen it ever since then. He's explaining a lot of people see that color brings things forward, but for me, it pushes things backwards. And I've seen that the same as new school artists use open space to bring things or to push things backwards. If that, and they use color to push things backwards. The foreground. Some people have this, and on Ink Masters they had this idea. I remember they criticized Craig Foster's. He did like a Philadelphia Eagle, one of the first tattoos he did on there. It's when I realized how awesome he was and that he was probably going to win and should have won, still in my opinion. He did a Philadelphia Eagle, and they explained that if he had put solid black in like the back of the background, or not the background, but like the back of this character, then it would have pushed these other parts forward. And that's working off the idea that black sets things back, but it doesn't. Black generally brings things forward. And I'll explain that because contrast is best close. I mean, the highest contrast is close up. As we see into the distance, we're looking through dust. You know what I mean? The things in the distance are actually gray. Unless you're in some kind of special, like if you're inside of a room, Leonardo da Vinci kind of style, yeah, black will set things back. It's a poorly lit room. That makes sense. Black will set things back. But if you're outside, then black adds more contrast, and as it has more contrast, it actually pulls those things forward. And that's one of the things that Craig was working with. And they were chewing him up exactly the opposite of what it was. So right away you kind of looked at it and you're like, These guys they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're backwards from reality. But for them, I mean, but you're having to live in their reality. So good luck, you know. That's what kind of tattoos I like. Is that isn't what kind of tattoos. That's a well, Mark actually Candy came up with it. Mark seconded it. The name straight to the point, completely off topic. I guess it kind of makes sense. And it's working with my COVID brain fog too, if that's what it is. I think my friends would probably tell me no. I got one friend that's been listening to these podcasts just so that he can pause me. He says this one thing he's always wanted was a pause button on me. Uh, how much money did I make on Ink Master? That's a good question. I made $432 a week, I think it was, and that was claiming 10 dependents. My wife told me to claim 10 dependents. We needed the money. She was like, get everything. I don't want it. So each episode, I made $215 or something like that. So basically, I went broke as shit. They don't pay you so if you watch The Challenge, I'm quite positive those people are getting paid a salary. Now, as contestants came back, I heard rumor of people like Jason Clay Dunn and Joshua Hibbard getting 1,000 to 2,000 a week, or possibly an episode, which might have been 2,000 to 4,000 a week because you do 2 episodes in a week. There wasn't a lot of money coming from it. You were there. I was there to test myself, but you were there to make money after the fact. If you weren't planning on winning, you were gonna try and hope that. I wanted to change my clientele. I wanted to be able to have control over my clientele so I could start to figure out who the fuck I was, instead of continually tattooing every idea that people wanted to come through the door, and being this kind of I do everything. And I didn't want to do that, because if you do everything, no one's going to come to you for one thing, And in the longevity of tattooing, if I can't figure out who I'm going to be, I got to figure a style that I can still tattoo when I'm crippled. You know what I mean? When I'm not so I'm planning ahead. That's what I'm saying. When my back's broken, I don't want to be sitting there doing a bunch of geometric artwork that's going to break my back and my eyesight even more. So maybe more loose fitting tattoos. I feel, this isn't something I've maybe realized even before I'm talking about it. I should just stop, because maybe I'm selling myself short, or maybe I'm revealing too much. Remember, that was my concern as it was. See, you're going to get to know me, and people are going to be like, oh man, this guy's a douchebag. He doesn't even care about his craft. Well, I do. It's just I also need to be able to make money in the future here. So it's why I like abstract work, maybe. Because you can't judge it. You can't tell me it's wrong. You can tell me it's weird. You can tell me you don't like it, but it ain't wrong. There's also this question here: what kind of tattoos don't I like? I don't like tattoos that have a bunch of rules. Really, that's the number one thing for me. If it's got to have everybody else's rules. And that's why when people come in and they start giving me their tattoo, sometimes it's a great idea, but as they shackle your hands, your freedom as an artist, and they start to take it from you. They're like, that's why I think I've already talked about it too. When people are always talking about do whatever you want in the background. I know the way to make you want to do this, or to get a cool tattoo, is to let you do what you want, but I need to have all these things in my tattoo, so I figured I'd let you do whatever you want to with the background to make it cool. That'll be fun, right? It's like, oh, you're actually making it far worse. Like you're dangling the thing that you desire, and at the same time being like, you're never gonna reach it, bro. You're never gonna be able to reach this, because if you put too much in the background, the tattoo in the foreground looks like shit. Like But what kind of tattoos don't I like to do? Customers come in all the time and they tie your hands. The good thing, like if you're good about it now, I've learned to not accept that. To point out real quick, because there's always the point where they stop what you just did. This always happens. Like where you're working with them, you're drawing in front of them, either on their skin or on paper or on your tablet, and you're working with them, and then they say, "Oh no, 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 like this," and then they say, "But whatever you think's cool, whatever you want." And you're like, "No, stop, no, not whatever I want cool. We need to point that out right now, because every time I've tried so far, you've stopped me." Oh yeah, I guess I didn't think of it like that. Yeah, okay, well, that's the way it is. I keep trying to make it cool, and you're like, I don't deserve a cool tattoo. Let's try to make it fucked up. I don't know why people do it. Sometimes I've seen them. So it's the biggest study for me is my clients, is like why people make certain choices. I know I made a lot of mistakes tattooing, getting tattooed, and so I'll use those to help other people now. I'll be like, hey, look at how crappy this is. Don't do this. We're doing this. Uh, you know, that's that. How much of the critique is legit? The critiques are legit bullshit. I guess we're talking about Ink Master here. That's a question here. How much of the critique is legit? They have to fill time. Paul Hogan, a former director on there, gave us a formula, and he said something like, it takes 1 hour and 45 minutes per 1 minute of film. I swear to God, I almost think it was 1 second of film. He said it like a contractor when you're asking, hey, how much would it cost to build a house? And he's like, how many lineal foot is it? You tell him, and he immediately has a number. It's not the perfect number. It's not what it's actually going to be, but roundabout, he knows that he can build this many a lineal foot for this price, and so he can just multiply that real quick and say roundabout, give or take, accessories, hardware, that kind of shit. Well, Paul Hogan was this awesome director. It's funny, like he would move you in a line. That's a very important part of Ink Master is they have to line you up. God damn, it takes so fucking long. That's why I was yelling at Ashley, is because how long it takes them to line us up. And then she went off for a long time, and I sat down, and I just sat down like I'm just gonna. And then they pulled my stool from me. They were like, if you got something to say, say it. And I'm like, I ain't got nothing to say. I just want to sit down. They're like, no, it's gonna mess up the line. They filmed this line, and it's so important to them. I don't like. It was amazing. They would move you from here to here depending on the shirt you're wearing, your size, and they would have you step over inches. Well, as they're doing that, Paul Hogan would be doing it. He'd be working with the control room. He's the director, and he would talk to you and say, okay, we need to move you. And he'd be listening to him in his ear, and he says, okay, I'm going to put my hands on you now. I'm going to move you to the right 3 inches. And he would gently touch your shoulders, and he would move you to the right. And to me, it was very professional. Well, Paul Hogan knew how much, he was very professional. And he knew how much time it was going to take to get that. Well, thinking of that formula, 1 hour and 45 minutes of film for 1 minute and I think I'm getting all my notifications noises in here. I'm sorry. For 1 minute of, oh God, is that now I'm messing up everything. There we go. Just turn it off. There we go. I think. Probably just paused everything. It's probably not recording. Man, I've been doing that way too much. Talking endlessly. Sometimes I think I got good stuff, and then I'll realize I wasn't recording. Actually, that's how I started this one. I opened up with that. Kyle, you're getting way off target. The critiques are mostly bullshit because they have to just say so much stuff so that they can get that 20 seconds. So that it's not the same thing. Sometimes you hear the same critiques over and over. Sometimes you hear a critique that goes against the critique that they gave prior. Like they beat up Melissa one day about lettering. The very next day they're sucking Scott's dick, even though his lettering doesn't work in the exact same fashion that they describe. You see it. If you're watching, if you even ask that question, I think it's because you see it too. They're making an entertaining show. The number one thing I have to take away from that is they're making an entertaining show. If they don't, then what good was it, right? So unfortunately, that means that a lot of the truth will be sucked out of it, if you will. I watched The Challenge, right? The Challenge is kind of fun to watch, and I like the competitions. But they always fuck up them competitions by editing it down, Frankenstein editing it, just for drama. But now I wonder if I had seen those competitions at some point, maybe it's just there's a clear winner, and you're watching for 10 more minutes. Just watching this person continue to lead. There's no drama involved. Well, so they have to create that drama. And the same they create that drama on the challenge, they have to create that drama on shows like the Ink Master for them to be good. If they're not good, then you don't listen to my podcast. So I'm so glad that they make them good. I really I really hated them. It's taken a long time to come to a healthy perspective on that. That's what I have to keep coming to and just keep remembering. Entertaining show. You benefit from the entertainment, you know. You as an artist at least. Do you guys benefit from it? I like to think you do, but there's a lot of people watch the show and I get the critique that we would like more meat and potatoes. We really like the tattoos. We really like seeing the tattoos. We could do without almost any of the drama. We could just watch people doing tattoos all day. Like that would be a good YouTube actually. I mean, who is it? John Twizan? John Twizan. I hope I don't know how to like if you saw his name you wouldn't know it was Twizan. Tawazan? I don't know how to I don't even know how to spell it. But he does YouTubes. He's got a play button, which is a big deal actually. My son I only know because my son watches so much YouTube. And a play button means that you've got a lot of people watching your YouTubes. Well, John travels to tattoo conventions and he tattoos us doing tattoos, and I think he does very entertaining videos. It wouldn't even be a complaint, but I think people who watch Ink Master may be sometimes just interested to watch somebody's time lapsed film of a tattoo being done. I've attempted to do that, and I just get so bored with it, or the camera over my head will be in my way, or the battery will die, or the lights will quit working, or some technological problem has just made me be like, I don't even want to bother with this. But I really like watching tattoos in pieces come together. I really like watching oil paintings coming together. And I watch that on YouTube a lot. So I think there's a certain level of viewers of Ink Master who would like that. And so as the show went on, we liked it. I say I didn't watch it too much when it went on. But people would come up and they'd share it with me. You're like, I don't know, you see the tattoo for like 2 seconds. You know? I feel like they took the meat and potatoes and they just kept giving you all icing. You know, and you're like, where's the cake? Where's the substance? You just keep trying to give me all the drama. I think, should I keep going? They're asking me how I got into tattooing. I'm gonna keep going, because Candy wants me to talk for as much as an hour. I can't believe anybody would listen that long. But she says you can go off topic like that. I guess people are interested in me going off topic. You just want me to be me, which again, I can't imagine that. But whatever, I'm moving on. What is it? So how did I get into tattooing? I sold marijuana to tattoo artists. I was selling marijuana. That's how it was. Is that true? Kind of, mostly. I had a friend who was getting free tattoos for the most part because he was bringing in people. And a lot of people say, yeah, I can do that for you. I'm like a walking billboard. And then they try that. And if you're a tattoo artist, you probably run into that person who said, dude, I'm going to walk a billboard for you. Listen, you get one free on me, everybody's going to be lining up at your door. And, yeah, they will. They'll line up for free tattoos because what's his dick is out there telling everybody how much it cost him, too. But my friend Colin Jinks was really one of these people. He could get people into your chair. And he did. He got me to go to one of his artists, to the shop that he liked. He knew that I was making decent money because I was working and I was selling marijuana at the same time. So I was doing siding on houses, construction work, and I was selling marijuana to all the guys that I worked with. I remember when I got the siding job, I got in the truck the first day, and he said, okay, the only thing we need to know about you, Kyle, is can you pass a drug test? And I was like, what the fuck? Because my friend who got me the job was definitely a pothead. And I was like, what the, you're pulling my leg. Well, I said, well, I brought a quarter. And he said, I brought a quarter ounce. And he's like, oh, yeah, you pass. And that was, and from that day on, I started selling to each one of the guys that smoked at work, and so I was making a paycheck off the guys. I used to hustle when I was younger. I don't, not so hustly now. Um, but I guess I actually, because I did the crime and I did the time, and I decided I would never sell weed again. I got other hustles. I guess I sell artwork and things, but I'm never selling drugs again. There's no reason to do that kind of time. It's not worth it. For me at least. I'm not good enough at it. And most people who think they're good enough at it usually find out that they're not. And they're like, I'm going to get away. Yeah, I'm going to sell drugs for it. Well, no. If you're in that for a certain lifestyle for a short period of time, and make the best of it, because you're going to end up in jail. You're going to be there for a while. Probably not marijuana now, but drugs. Drugs are changed now. Marijuana is no longer a drug, I guess. But so that's how I got into it. I was selling marijuana, and so I had an ample amount of money. Colin recognized this. He wanted to get more free tattoos from his artists, so he needed me to get a tattoo that I would pay for. And I did. I came in and I got this tribal piece on my back. Um, and I started to get the idea that I would tattoo, but only to tattoo myself, because I love tribal artwork. I'm that idiot. I was like, I love tribal. I'm gonna have my body covered in tribal, but I can't tattoo my own back. I was gonna save money and do my own tattoos. I was so everything about me seemed wrong. I don't know how I'm where I'm at now. I don't know how it, and maybe I'm not that high up, so maybe I shouldn't even act like I'm somewhere in the level of tattooing hierarchy. But from where I came from, boy, I'm leaps and bounds. So I was selling. So then I began selling, trading marijuana for tattoos, and selling to the guys there when I wasn't getting tattooed, and gleaming information. Colin would give me some kind of information, because they actually started teaching him to tattoo as well. Uh, and so they honestly told him not to tell me things. They were like, dude, don't tell Kyle things, because he's in the in the old days, nobody wanted you in their industry. It's kind of like a fishing hole. If you don't invite people to your fishing hole that you don't know, you know what I mean? If you don't want to spend some time with them, and even then, you might know somebody and say they're selling you weed. Hey, yeah, we're great, we're good friends, but you still don't want them fishing out of your hole. There's going to be less fish for you. That's the general consensus. If you get everybody, I've seen it. I taught so many people to tattoo in Genesee County that eventually I don't even tattoo in Genesee County. You know, I got too much competition, and now I have to redesign or reimagine my client list. I have to remake it. Um, that's how I got into tattooing. It was a long ride. I had to give up. At the time, I had just started my own. Well, I guess I was about 2 years into my own. No, that's not true. Now that I think about it, I started selling to them, getting tattooed, and then thinking that I would buy this equipment. Eventually, I started my own business doing siding and roofing as well. And I was 1 to 2 years into that when I finally decided I was just going to go all into tattoos. And to go all into tattoos, though, that's how you get into tattoos. You throw all your passion into it. Be prepared to not be with your girlfriend anymore. It's that happened, and thankfully for the best, because she was a terrible person for me. She wasn't good for me. She was always jealous. I would tattoo a girl, and it wouldn't matter what this girl looked like. She would imagine that I was being improper, and that was back when I was on my p's and q's. Now I probably am improper, or I don't know, in a funny way. Is it funny? Um, yeah, I like to think it is. Is it? Yeah, I shouldn't say improper. That sounds nowadays. What is it? Twitter's going to go off, and suddenly Kyle's harassing people. I've never sexually harassed anybody tattooing. I have made off-color jokes an awful lot. and will continue. I've never said anything to anybody that I wouldn't in private or anything like that that I wouldn't also say in front of people, in front of an audience. To me, it's always that's it. And when I'm tattooing, actually, it's like I got my own little audience. I love it because I can test jokes on people. I can and the whole time it's under the threat of pain. So if they don't laugh, well, we just got to keep tattooing. And like, now, you know what? I'd almost rather listen to a story. It gets painful enough. Uh, Go ahead and tell me one of your stupid stories again, Kyle. That's how I got into tattoos. Is it how I got into tattoos? I think I got off topic about how I got into tattoos. Why am I not a fan of Harry Potter? I am a fan of Harry Potter. Should I not be a fan of Harry Potter? I don't even care about J.K. Rowling's. I have yet to see anything that tells me she is transphobic. I'm tired of something I'm trying to point out to my son is like every time there is a group that has been oppressed, once given the opportunity, they don't seek peace through mercy, they seek peace through justice. And oftentimes they don't even seek peace through justice, they really just look for an ability to do the same to those who oppress them. They want to hold them down. And I feel like the Twitter's become that somewhat. And I don't know, everything has a push. They're making us get the vaccine. More and more people are worrying about vaccines now. Not just this vaccine. Now people are growing. We're growing an audience for the anti measles vaccine, anti polio vaccine. There's always a reaction. A pushback. Ralph Waldo Emerson and his son were trying to get a cow into the barn one day. Inclement weather was coming. There was a rainstorm, a thunderstorm coming, and all the cows had to get it, but this one Bessie, she just wouldn't move. And the harder they would push on her backside, the more she would just dig in and resist. That's what happens. People dig in and resist, and sometimes the harder you push. I certainly find myself to do that. Well, a smart nursemaid came out, and she actually let the cow suckle her thumb and led it into the barn. These two Nobel Prize winning, well, I don't know what two, but smart people, and they couldn't figure that out. And that happens to smart people all day. Like there's that beautiful medium of where it's more understanding than it is. I want to force I need you to come away with my thinking. Nobody comes away, even when you prove people wrong nowadays. Like they will talk to you, and then you will show them where they were wrong in their in their claim, and you can tell though that they are not taking that as their new truth, that they are still too stuck inside of their world. Like a lot of people can't come out of that. They can't come out of the world because they will lose support. They will be ostracized from communities that they've grown, like a flat earther. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I'm pretty positive the world is round. And I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know any of it. But here's why I think it. Because it would take too many people to pull off that conspiracy. It's just that conspiracy that large would be impossible to pull off. Sorry. You got to have too many people into that one. The one that gets me is the people flying planes, like airline pilots or a sniper who has to account for the curvature of the earth in his bullet. Like that calculation needing to be done, it rests on the earth being curved. And oh well. Anyways, but sometimes you can prove things to people, and they will not come away with that as the truth, because they would be ostracized. This flat earther built up his whole world, his whole community, and his whole belief structure. And they have jokes about people who believe the world's round, and they've enjoyed that, and they share things. They become family. And now you prove them wrong, and they're like, oh shit, I can't tell my friends this. I can't lose my friends either. I would rather be ignorant. That happens more than just with flat Earth, you know. Um, Religion, oftentimes, science itself is slow sometimes. Not science. Science is quick to accept facts or possibilities and theorems and stuff. However, scientists are very slow because they get built up in a world. And suddenly, if a theory is proven wrong that they've based a lot of their research on, they can become nobody, you know? And so that can't be true. That happens in politics and so much. I don't even, oh, and this all started with because why am I not a fan of Harry Potter, isn't it? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I am a fan. I like the Harry Potter ride at the Universal Studios and and all that. um, my son is not a fan of J.K. Rowling there. He feels that she is transphobic. I'm still waiting on more proof. And even, I got to tell you, transphobia, homophobia, all these things are things that I've seen throughout my time. I don't say that they're right, but I know that there's that sweet spot. You're not going to get somebody who is transphobic or homophobic to change their opinion by telling them they're stupid, by telling them that they're ugly or not, you know, or an asshole or not cool or, you know, you're almost good. Just like you can't get someone to wear a mask. Like we tried, right? We like put mask mandates out, and people were like, I ain't wearing no mask. Like, okay, it's because you mandated it, really. If you put it on people's politeness, perhaps. I'm not saying more people would do it, but I do mean to say that more people would have an easier time doing it. They would have an easier time, like you build up resistance, strongholds against your forces, um, and that's why I'm not a fan of Harry Potter. I am a fan of Harry Potter. I don't know, like it's stupid. Okay, Harry Potter's kind of stupid. Like, here's the problem with these, like, or I'm stupid. That's what it is. Harry Potter makes me realize how stupid I am because I don't care to know. Star Wars. Now, I'm more not a fan of Star Wars. I know that pisses a lot of people off. Oh, you gotta love Star Wars. No, Disney took it over. I don't gotta love Star Wars. If I can, Disney ruins everything. Star Wars has become a franchise, and when it became a franchise, it went downhill for me. Okay, it's just they didn't before it was there was a lot of things that I could love. I tried to watch The Force Awakens and wanted to vomit. Like, such poor script, storyline. I didn't understand why Princess Leia would get demoted to general. I, I would think she'd be going to queen. I guess she lost her planet, can't be a princess anymore of a planet you don't have. Somebody pointed that out to me. I still was like general, huh? And Mickey Mouse wouldn't let him kiss. Remember that? They couldn't kiss. It's like, huh, she's too old. Huh? Yeah, no problem having anything else kissing in there. Didn't they have some gayer scene or something like that at one point? I don't know. I've only heard. I've stopped watching it. Star Wars no longer appeals to me. The Mandalorian doesn't appeal to me. Um, this new Boba Fett thing doesn't appeal to me. I feel like it's all now so tested. Like, what would a test group want to see? Like, they just want you to want it so that they can then control what you buy. And Star Wars started out awesome at the beginning because it was something we all liked. Critics didn't like Star Wars. There was very novice storytelling in Star Wars. And let's keep in mind, too, like, everybody wants to suck George Lucas' dick. He just ripped this shit off, okay? It wasn't like he just I've got this great idea. He reimagined The Fortress, a movie called The Fortress. And he told it through the eyes of the droids as opposed to through the eyes of a slave. Usually, a samurai movie is going to be about the samurai, right? Well, in this case, it was the slaves of the samurai, and then he put the droids in. All this stuff existed in someone else's. The beauty of Star Wars is the art. And that's what brings people back, I believe. It's certainly not those storylines where the Force just happens to have I mean, you feel like it's not even science fiction. It's more like science. It's like, it's actually not even science. It's more like fictitious religion. And in which case, then you're just like, it's religion. Like the Force saves everything. It's very similar to the writing styles of the Knights of the Round Table. Wasn't that it? Who's it? King Arthur, Queen Guinevere, or whatever. Like he would in perilous doom, and then magic happens, saves everybody. And you're like, I don't know. I want to believe a hero is a hero. That's, I think, why I like Pan's Labyrinth. It took a lot of courage for that little girl to go down that gross fucking tunnel. I wouldn't do it. It was a little girl. But you got Han Solo out there who can't fucking miss, even though he's just shooting blindly. Meanwhile, he's getting shot at by stormtroopers they're trained stormtroopers, and they can't hit the broadside of a fucking barn. Aren't they supposed to be like Jango Fett or Boba Fett, like clone? But yet they suck at hitting anything. Like, why are they so bad at shooting? Good, the Force, just the Force. To me, it's a cheap writing style, that doesn't get you enthralled as much. But back when I was young, at 13, even younger, when Star Wars first came out, it was awesome. And then you noticed it got a little bit worse with the Ewoks. Like, imagine there wasn't Ewoks on that planet that helped them. And I know that, yeah, first they all had to get imprisoned, and then they had to worship the see-through. But all of that, they don't win if that crazy little happenstance didn't happen. And people overlooked that a little bit until Jar Jar Binks did the same thing, and we realized George Lucas was just doing the same cheesy, cheap writing tactic over and over. Then Jar Jar Binks fell off of a tank or something like that, ended a whole war. Like that was the Ewoks. I'm sorry, it's there was a little bit more pieces to it. It wasn't just like, Ewoks, haha, all this. I mean, at least they had to suspend logs in the air and have big traps that don't even make sense. Like, how did they do that so quick? They got all these vines that can hold 1,000-pound logs. I mean, when a log swings, that's 6 times its at any rate. Sometimes my brain doesn't work with things being sold to me too cheesily, and nowadays they spoon feed it to, ooh, baby's coming, or train's coming into the station, mama bird's coming down, here you go, little baby, this is the script, this is the storyline. So many things in The Force Awakens didn't make sense for me that I just gave up watching. That's what happened. First off, where the fuck is OSHA? Like, where is OSHA? Isn't there some standard for construction? You just built a perilous pit, and fucking, you're gonna go meet your estranged son out there on this un-OSHA approved. There's no railing on that thing. Like, Han Solo met his son. He hadn't seen him in years. I heard some bad things. Hey, son, maybe come over here. Let's talk over here with my friends, amongst my friends, not on the perilous pit of doom. Well, come over here. But I think Han Solo's character, it was Harrison Ford. He had to know that once the mouse took over, he was like, just get me out of this. I never want to be stuck in this Star Wars hell again. I've had a good career. I don't want to be here. Kill off my character, please. Yeah, have the son kill him. I don't care. He don't care. He don't care who fucking Greedo shot first. Didn't he say that stuff? Come on. If Greedo shot first, then why do I give a fuck about Han Solo? He's not cool anymore. Like he should have died. He got lucky. If Greedo shot first underneath the table and he didn't blow him away, Greedo is a bad shot. Greedo is not a good opponent. It's like Force Awakens. Where was the bad guy? Who is the bad guy? The guy that's crying about they're having 2 droids and goes and destroys his room with his lightsaber? Oh, Mom, there's 2 droids. I'm so angry. I'm tearing all the posters off my wall. Oh, I don't know. Star Wars. People like it. They just fed you cameos, though, in The Force Awakens to make you think you liked it. They didn't have good script. They didn't have good storytelling. I'm See, I told you I was going to piss some people off. I can only appeal to a broad base for so long. Um, and now we're talking about things that matter. You were talking about the vaccine and politics prior. That shit don't matter. You're fucking with Star Wars. The reason Star Wars is cool is because of the artwork. This is all the iconery, the artwork, the toys. All that shit's what made it cool. And now we just moved on to a different time. It's not cool anymore. Not for me. Anyways, let's make that good, right? That's an hour long. That's plenty. I might do another one of these right now too, but even this one could stop. I've stumbled over my words long enough, right? Uh, and yeah, and I have. So we'll do more. We'll talk again. Again, I got to get a sign off. I thought it could be "and I'm spent," which is kind of funny. I liked it for a time, but then I did it once, and I was about to do it just now, and I was like, "and I'm spent," and I was like, that's cheesy. You're real cheesy, Kyle. But anyways, I am spent. So there.